Welcome to the cult, where we talk about all aspects of the culture war. And what could we possibly talk about today that is not Israel and Palestine? And I got to tell you guys, the reason that I took yesterday off was because I was just really, really kind of sick to my stomach. I mean, like physically sick to my stomach about the entire situation in the Middle East. I kind of started the weekend not really caring, and that might sound heartless to some people. But the way I see it, bad things happen all over the world all the time, and I can only expend so much energy caring about so many things. And well, I certainly have empathy for people who are suffering. I cannot spend all my days focusing on every bad thing in the world. I mean, how many people are murdered in Chicago every single weekend? How many countries around the world are committing horrific war crimes? I mean, quite literally every day in wide open, and we don't think about them, we don't talk about them, we don't obsess about them. Um, and then I started being told on Twitter what I was not allowed to say. And you guys know me. You try to tell me what I can and cannot talk about, and that's not going to go too well. And you know, I'm gonna offer some, and so then I started caring, and so then I started hanging out in all of these Twitter spaces. I have been in dozens and dozens and dozens of Twitter spaces, from on both sides of the issue, both pro-Israel Twitter spaces, pro-Palestine Twitter spaces, kind of like neutral Twitter spaces, where they're just reporting news, and so I feel like I've got a pretty firm grasp of what I think of the situation, and my grasp of the situation is not going to make people happy. And I just want to talk about it a little bit before we get into the video today. Um I'm not on anyone's side. I think that Hamas has done horrific things to Israel. I also think that Israel has treated Palestinians atrociously for decades. And what really bothers me about this entire situation is that it doesn't matter if I say I don't care if Israel exists. It doesn't matter if I say that Israel has the right to defend itself. It doesn't matter if I say I really don't care if people are Jewish or not. It makes no difference to me. If I don't come out in full throated support of Israel and celebrate the genocide of Palestinians, because that's what it is. I really do hope everyone understands this. This is a genocide of Palestinians perpetrated by Israel for revenge. So while I am sympathetic to the horrific things that Hamas has done to Israel, and they are horrific, I am not in any way, shape, or form going to celebrate the genocide of an entire people to feed the bloodlust that is going on conservative Twitter. I'm not going to do it. I don't think that either side is good. And I think that the people who are insisting that Israel has done nothing wrong, really, 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 because that's not hinged into reality, folks. I'm sorry, it's just not. There are no heroes in this affair at all. And I'm watching people who claim to be pro-life celebrating the murder of not only an entire group of people, but a lot of them women, and 60% of the people in Gaza are under 18. The vast majority of people in Gaza had nothing to do with this. But I can't say that, or else I'll be called an anti-Semite. And so I'm pretty disgusted with everyone right now, if I'm honest about it. Everyone who is shilling for either pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, because I don't think there are any heroes in this situation. And the fact that no one is allowed to point out that Israel is not innocent in this. They're not. And the fact that no one is allowed to say, why are conservative pro-lifers celebrating the genocide of an entire group of people? Like, to watch, like, it was so disgusting to me to what Laura Loomer was doing a countdown on Twitter to the leveling of Gaza. There have been people talking about begging for the entire area to be turned into a parking lot, celebrating it, cheering it on. The bloodlust is disgusting. It really is, on both sides. And so the reason I took yesterday off was I was really feeling sick to my stomach. You know, there was a story today. And by the way, and everyone needs to be prepared for this. There was a story today going around Twitter being pushed by conservative influencers that said that Hamas had decapitated 40 babies. And it didn't even start off with that. At first it was Hamas had set fire to 40 babies, and it was accompanied by a picture that looked atrocious, but it didn't actually look like babies. And so I was like, what's going on? And then the story changed. It went from setting fire to 40 babies to decapitating 40 babies with no evidence provided. No evidence provided at all. Now, I'm old enough to remember when there was testimony in front of Congress. Was it in front of Congress? During the Iraq War era. I'm old enough to remember that people were testifying and swearing to God, all these atrocities are taking place in Iraq, crimes against humanity. What was it, incinerators then? And it all turned out to be bullshit. We went to war based on bullshit. And so I kind of just asked on Twitter, I said, is there any evidence of these 40 decapitated babies? Now, I'm not arguing that Hamas is innocent. Hamas is obviously not innocent. Hamas has committed atrocious crimes. Atrocious. Like, mind-bogglingly bad. They're not innocent. But I asked her, I was like, is there any evidence that this is true? And what people kept saying to me was, it's on Telegram, it's on Telegram, it's on Telegram, it's on Telegram. Okay, we'll put it on Twitter, because here's the thing. I've been consuming a lot of this content in the past couple of days. I have seen videos of dead babies in Gaza. Multiple videos of dead babies as a result of the airstrikes in Gaza over the past 2 days. So don't tell me you can't post it on Twitter. If there's evidence, fucking post it. And of course, no one did. And they kept posting other things. Well, these journalists swear it's true. Okay, how, did they take pictures? What did they see? Well, you're an anti-Semite. Okay, well, fine. You guys have been calling me an anti-Semite for 3 days for not engaging in your fucking bloodlust. But do you have any evidence? Is this true? If it's true, it's horrific. I'll denounce it, man. But do you have any evidence, or is this another babies in incubators thing where that's what it was? It was like the Iraqis were taking babies out of the incubators? Because that never happened. But someone swore that it did. Trust me, bro. Well, guess what? Right before, a couple hours ago, I guess. Breaking news! Israeli army tells the news that they have no information confirming allegations that Hamas beheaded babies. This was shared all over Twitter this morning as though it was the God's honest truth. This was shared by massive conservative We swear it's true. We swear it's true. We swear it's true. Cross our heart and hope to die. Trust us, bro. Turns out it's not true. Now, again, I am not arguing that Hamas has not done horrific things. Of course they have. That is undeniable. But why are you spreading bullshit in order to feed the bloodlust of conservative Twitter? Why do you, if Hamas is really so horrible, and I don't actually think it's up for debate whether or not they're horrible, but like if that's true, then why do you have to make shit up? Oh, did Tim Pool jump the gun on this? I didn't see Tim. Well, Tim blocked me on Twitter a long time ago, so I don't obviously see his Twitter, but it wouldn't surprise me if he jumped on it. I know Charlie Kirk did. I know someone who I consider like Andrew Gold. I adore Andrew Gold. I think Andrew Gold is great. Seeing Andrew Gold's channel just explode has been like I've been so happy for him. Right before this stream, he was doing a stream on this story. And I understand he has family involved in this, and so it's an emotional thing for him, and I feel for him and I feel for his family. I really 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 do, but this story is not true. So why are we talking about it as if it is? What's really going on is they are trying to incite people so that the United States has no choice but to get involved, which will cause an inevitable war with Iran, which will be devastating. But the neocons don't care. The neocons don't care. I don't support anyone, but if you are going to demand that I take your side in order to consume my content, then you can F right off. This is the other thing that's happened over the past couple of days is I've had long-term audience members on my channel demand that I take their side and demand that I parrot their talking points and demand that I don't question anything at all, or else they're just going to be forced to unfollow me. They're going to be forced to unsubscribe. Well, go fuck yourselves. If you are only here to hear the talking points that you are desperate for, you can go somewhere else for that because I'm not going to lie to coddle your feelings. It is not going to happen. This will never be Tim Pool. If you want to be control, if you want to hear from someone who's controlled by his audience, Tim Pool is a perfect channel for you. The Daily Wire, perfect. There are many creators out there who are completely controlled by their audience. That's not going to happen here. I have never had that type of relationship with my audience. I never will have that type of relationship with my audience. My only commitment, the commitment that I've made to people for years now, is I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to show you receipts to back up what I say. And if I don't have receipts to show it, then I don't talk about it. But I am not going to pander to what people want. I am not going to pander to people demanding that I join a side when I think that both sides are behaving atrociously. I don't want to be involved. Sadly, that's not the reality of the situation. And sadly, this looks like it's going to be a world changing conflict that's going to go on for a little while. And so we have to talk about it and I have to pay attention to it because that sadly is the place that I live in. Everyone here is allowed to have an opinion. I don't mind. I don't mind at all if people disagree with me. You're allowed to disagree with me. What you're not allowed to do is demand that I pander to you and whatever talking points you are desperate to hear at the time. Because I don't think there are heroes in this situation. I don't think there are good guys in this situation. I think that that Hamas is a terrorist organization, and I think that Israel has treated the people of Palestine atrociously for decades. For decades. And it is mind boggling to me that there is an entire group of people right now that is unwilling to acknowledge that when you essentially lock an entire population of people in an open air prison, that at some point something like this is going to happen. This was predictable. This was always going to happen with how the Palestinians were being treated. And I don't know how all of these conservative influencers who claim to be pro life are calling for the death of an entire people, and in the same breath calling them monsters, calling them subhuman. They're, again, guys, 60% of the people in Gaza right now are under the age of 18. I find the whole thing to be disgusting. I find it to be distasteful. And I find it to be completely indicative of where we are as a society. Did Nick Fuentes make a video about this? He did. He had a stream last night that I happened to watch because I actually did want to hear Nick Fuentes' take on this. And you couldn't have shocked me more because, of course, you're expecting Nick Fuentes to say some really anti Semitic shit around this. Do you know what Nick Fuentes said on his stream yesterday? He said, he said that what he wanted was the American first position, which was to end this as quickly as possible basically for the United States to avoid war with Iran at all, if at like at by any means necessary, avoiding war with Iran. And Nick Fuentes actually said that he wanted to see Israel stabilize relations with other countries in the region. Nick Fuentes isn't calling for the death of Israel. He's not pro-Palestinian either, by the way. He doesn't care about either of them. He had actually one of the more principled positions I've heard so far, which is, I hate both sides. I don't think we should be involved. I don't want to go to war with Iran. It's probably better for everyone if Israel normalized relations with other countries in the region. I was like, holy shit. Nick Fuentes is the voice of reason. That's the time we live in. That is the time that we live in. I don't demand anything. You're putting words in my mouth. Well, you come in my channel, you say I'm going to unsubscribe unless you say X, Y, B, and Z. I think you can see why I might have thought that. Thanks for putting me in timeout so I can explain. I'm Palestinian. I've been there and I see what goes on. I almost died. I'm really sorry about that. I hope you don't have family there. Anyway, so I did a poll on Twitter today. I'm really sorry that your family's in danger. And I bet that this guy isn't hearing a lot of that among all of the bloodlust over his family and his loved ones. I'm really sorry that your family's in danger. I'm sorry, by the way, to anyone that's in Israel too, or has family in Israel too. The entire situation sucks.